welcome back to Spells from the Shelf. I'm Ammie.
I'm Paul.
And we're here to talk about Amina al-Sirafi.
By Shannon Chakraborty.
Wow, you did that really well. Okay. I've just been calling her Shannon.
Yeah, she's got a couple books. Amina al-Sirafi is the book we're going to talk about today, but I really enjoyed her City of Brass series also. So she's got a couple books. If you've read any of them, Amina's a great book too.
Yes. So Amina al-Sirafi is also a book that was a pick for my book club that I'm in. And you had told me about City of Brass. Mm-hmm. So I told you I read this and you had said, oh, I read her City. And now I'm in that world.
Yeah. And that's how we decided. It's like, oh my God, we got to do this on the podcast.
Yeah. Because he loved City of Brass. And it's really good. Definitely recommend that. But yeah, let's get into the Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi.
Pirate Queen.
Pirate Queen. Yes. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, and I was like, she doesn't really refer to herself as a queen, but she is absolutely 100% a queen.
Yeah. No, she is. I think what I loved, and I said it right before we hit record, is she's in her 40s. Mm-hmm. So life does not end at 40. By the way, you could just be a pirate.
In case you needed to know, we're good.
Yeah. In case you needed to know, you could start being a pirate. And yeah, that's our character.
Yeah. And there's some backstory where she's had lots of pirate adventures, and this is going, as far as she's concerned, she's got a child. She's kind of put that life behind her.
Yes. She's retired when we first meet her.
Right. And what I love about how Shannon writes this character is that this is a pirate that didn't end up with a lot of wealth after her pirating days. Right? She
really didn't. No.
And if you know about at least pirates on this side of the world, she's writing about pirates on the other side of the world, like around the story focuses around Yemen and the Indian Sea. But pirates, as often for a Western audience, are usually around like Blackbeard and Black Bart and mostly about like the English, Spanish, the colonizing imperial world. And those pirates all ended up like hung pretty much.
Yeah.
Hung or shot or dead. But Amina has survived, but not with a ton of riches. And Shannon Chakraborty writes the character really well because, again, she gave out lots of her money and wealth to keep her crew loyal. So it's just a well-written character.
It is. It's a great character. And so here's something interesting about this book. This is the first book that both Paulie and I have listened to.
Yes, this was my first audiobook. I've never done an audiobook before, and this was my first one, recommended to me by Ammie.
Yes.
And also my peeps at the Briar Patch out in Bangor, Maine.
Yeah.
They were like, the lady I was speaking to there, she was like, I read it and I did the audiobook. And she was like, they were both great, but the audiobook she highly recommended too. So, for those two data points, I was like, all right, I'm in. Audiobook it is.
It's one of those stories, and I told you this too. It's just one of those stories that is just told to you really well. Mm-hmm. It's something that I think was meant to be told to you out loud because of, the lore around it. Like what Shannon does is she manages to mix Islamic lore with historical fiction, historical elements to it.
What I loved about this, I think we talk about a lot about like rich worlds and rich world building. This is with historical fiction. We're talking about real places here. So she talks about the island of Socotra, which I would have never heard of or known existed until this book. So to me, it was still like a fantastical place. And if you look this up, there's like these trees that they call dragon's blood trees. And if like their bark leaks red. So it looks like dragon's blood's bleeding through them. And they look like they were created in a world of fantasy. They're a very bizarre looking tree from what, you might think of as a typical tree, right? This is not like a maple or a pine. This is a very
specific tree.
It looks like a mushroom, like almost.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah.
So definitely look up those dragon's blood trees in Socotra. They're specific to that island. And it's just like there's caves and it's mountains and it's like a very rich world. And they talk, Yemen's part of it. And that's, given the current geopolitical climate, that's probably not a place that most people are going to be visiting anytime soon. So it was really cool to read about these places in this fantasy book.
Yes. And I think this is something that I feel is an overarching theme for Spells from the Shelf, which is that I feel like both you and I constantly say that just because something is a fantasy novel doesn't mean that you don't get to explore a world that you wouldn't get to explore otherwise, like Paulie mentioned, where you can't, travel to some of these places, but you can through words.
Yeah.
You get like a window into a world that you normally wouldn't be able to see. And even if a fantasy novel doesn't specifically state that it has some historical elements woven into it, I feel like every single author leaves pieces of themselves in a story.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what this book does really well also is it brings in these mythologies from, and like you were talking about Islamic lore, it brings in mythologies that you might be unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
Like I was certainly not familiar with many of you've heard of jinns before, but some of like how she treats like the demon culture and creatures of discord. There's like just a different set of mythologies. Of course there are, but that you might not be so familiar with, right? We're very familiar with Roman and Greek mythologies versus something over in the other side of the world, right? Typically around like Islam.
Right. It's not something that
Or Persia, right? These are really Persian myths.
Yes. And it's not something that I had come across that often before. Like I've heard of jinn, like you said, like I've heard of them. I've seen them on the show Supernatural, but it's not explored that deeply. And it was one episode.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not like I was doing like a deep dive into like what jinn were, but she does. And the plot of this story in particular is, like we said, Amina is a retired pirate. She's living a pretty ordinary life with her daughter. And she's trying to lead a more, the thing about Amina that I find so fascinating is she's trying to lead what she feels is a more righteous path than her pirating. like she's trying to make up for this like life that she led almost and she's doing this in what she feels is the best way, like by just being ordinary for once.
Yeah, she's one of these complex characters, right? She's trying to hold up to certain religious tenets while also rebelling against some of them.
Yes.
But also, she's very much, she was born from the sea, right? Like she's just a character that feels more comfortable on the sea. Her personality is, she wants to be on a ship adventuring out on the open ocean. So she's trying to reconcile these two parts of her.
Yeah, and it's very much something that you follow throughout the entirety of her character in the book, which is that she's both wants to stay traditional to her religion, but also kind of breaks boundaries on things that she's comfortable with. So she's made it her own.
Yeah, drinking, swearing.
Yeah, yes. Oh, it's great when she swears too. It's so great. And so when we meet her, like I said, she's just an ordinary retired pirate, which is kind of funny to say out loud, an ordinary retired pirate. And she is given a job.
Yes.
And it's a job she can't refuse.
Yeah. And Salim?
Yes.
Something. So she comes, and this is the grandmother, and approaches Amina with a job. Her daughter's been kidnapped. Dunya.
It was great hearing the names properly.
Yeah, the audiobook is really spectacular. Highly recommend the audiobook. If this was my first audiobook, like I said, but it's great to just kind of be able to listen at your leisure. It's not always easy to pick up a book, but the names and the characters are just great to be read out to. And I think there's some great narrative elements that you catch too that make the world really textured in the story. It opens up almost like Arabian Nights, where it's like, here's the setting of the world and it's told to you by a narrator, and like the story, and now the story unfolds. Like it's almost like, if you remember the beginning of Aladdin, there's that character riding on the desert and he's introducing you to the world, and then it opens up like this window.
Like a snapshot in that time of what they're telling you. And so she has to, Dunya's been kidnapped by Falco, who is our antagonist. And Amina thinks that this is just going to be a regular old job. She's like, I'm just going to get the old band back together.
That's right.
How hard could it be to get this girl?
And she's reluctant to come out of retirement, right? So,
Yes.
but she's offered 1 million dinars, which even if you don't know what a dinar is, you know that's an astronomical amount of money
Yes.
to Amina. So, and she gets an advance on it, something like 20,000 dinars, to kind of start the voyage and pay for expenses. So she's able to kind of not only get her crew back, but also pay them.
Right. Pay them, which
Let's
is
not forget they're mercenaries. Pirates were mercenaries first.
Yes. And she does constantly talk about how paying her crew well has kept her from like
Mutiny.
from mutiny and dissent. So it's not like she's fooled. Does she care about them? Yeah. She's come to care about them. It's a really odd found family.
Yes. Dalila is one of my favorite sidekicks here. She's like a chemist, experimenter, tinkerer.
So cool.
She has knockout gases and knockout poisons, and then like she creates bombs out of with gunpowder, but it's clearly like an earlier, like gunpowder is a newer invention in the setting of the story. And Dalila is just a great character.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She has a lot of color to Amina in the world.
She does. And this world is just it's extremely rich, and you get a lot of great information. You get a lot of great dialogue that kind of tells you who all the players are, and you have an adventure sequence, a journey. And as it unfolds, you find out that there's more to Falco than meets the eye. And you almost see Amina realize that this is just not a normal job anymore. This is turning into way more than she bargained for.
Yeah, like we learned he's a wizard with lots of dark powers,
Like,
similar to the way like in Air, Sabatahir's Air, she takes a job and gets bound to take this job.
Right.
But she doesn't know fully what she's getting
herself into.
But similarly, we have this with Amina, where she's like, yeah, all right, 1 million dinars will get me out of retirement.
Yeah.
But who's the foe now? What am I doing?
What am I doing? And you almost kind of realize why she's getting paid so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we find out that he's been, the Falco, who's the villain, has been tracking her and tracking down her old crew, for different reasons, not certainly not to rescue anybody.
No, not for good ones.
Yeah.
No, he's not an upstanding citizen whatsoever. And you also kind of find out that Dunya's part in it is different than what Amina was expecting it to be.
Yes. Yeah,
that was very unexpected. Amina was like, okay, this is turning into something I really didn't see coming, kind of deal.
Yeah. So what we're talking about here is kind of like a gender issue with the character, and it kind of adds a depth that was unexpected in the story.
Very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Very well done.
And it's not a focus of the story, right? It's just like it's a feature of it, and it just adds a richness to the characters.
It does. And it kind of talks about pirate culture.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's accepted. Just do your job.
Yeah. It really talks. And Amina kind of even goes into like a little mini moment where she was like, this is not unusual for pirates at all. Like this is something that is
outcasts, outliers.
This is us. This is who we are.
And Amina's her own type of outcast, right? So like she's a giant, right? They even when she goes to the mythical Peri world, the Peri birds.
Yes.
Are you part giant? and Amina's like, oh my God, even in like a fantasy land, I'm a giant. This is ridiculous.
Oh, that's right, because she's also tall.
Yeah, she's super tall.
That's right. Okay, so this is I'm not a tall person, but I oddly enough really appreciate tall female main characters, because I feel like you don't get a lot of tall female main characters.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very unusual to have a tall, strong female character.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's an interesting twist on an archetype, on a literary archetype. Because usually they're small and petite and yada yada yada. And
yeah, you think like your Violet Sorengales.
Yeah, but no, not Amina. No, she'll kick your butt. she'll kick your butt. But we don't want to give away what the reveal is when it comes to Dunya, because I thought it was such a pivotal point for her character, and when Amina like kind of interacts with her.
Yeah, it's like, was she kidnapped or did she run away?
Right.
And
it's very important to the story. And it's a great story. And one of my favorite characters is her husband. Raksh. Oh my goodness, this guy. He is, well, we were just talking about that. He's not technically a jinn.
Right. Yeah,
He's not.
He's not a jinn.
He's not a jinn, but everybody mistakes him and puts him in that category.
Yeah, everybody's like calling him a demon. And
yeah.
Raksh is like, that is your word. And it is a very, like, your word meaning like, that's what humans call me.
Right. Yes.
And while there may be some similarities, I like how it's, well, there's some nuance there, you know?
Right. And what's so funny about his character is he doesn't understand a lot of human traditions. So the way that when they tell the story and they go on a little side quest moment, I love a good side quest moment to explain how Amina met him.
Yeah.
And like we said, Amina lives in two worlds. She lives in this pirate world, but she also tries to maintain her religious foundation. So she will not sleep with him until she's married. So she's like, well, we got to get married.
Yeah, I totally want this, so let's get married.
And he has no idea. He thinks it's a soul contract.
Yeah.
He's like, this is an odd soul contract. And he's like, and it's funny because as they're doing the dialogue moment, he like reads part of it and he was like, this is interesting. Like, what's sort of like, what are you humans up to kind of deal? And it was like a really funny moment where you see like these two people from the same world, but completely different worlds having this moment.
Trying to understand
each other. And the only reason why they got married is because Amina is like, no, I must be married before we do this.
Yeah, it's just a spectacular irony too that somebody trying to hold up their religious tenets like marries a demon.
Yes,
you know? Like, right. And that's just I think it captures so much. Like Chakraborty just did such a great job capturing that irony of a character and of humans, right? You know?
Yeah, it was just so perfectly done, and it just further encapsulates this character who is in a box, but not even. She's almost made like her own box, which is why I think her side characters become pivotal reminders that Amina truly will accept anybody into her life.
Yeah.
As long as you're a good person, she accepts you.
And Raksh is certainly not a good person,
no.
Right? He's part coward, like he runs away at certain times, but he also brings like luck and, helps her navigate the fantasy island that she lands on. I call it a fantasy island, but it's like she landed in like this magical world when she gets marooned, almost basically not marooned on an island, but she gets put in she gets thrown out to sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, by Falco.
Yeah. Really great action sequences.
Yes.
And when they come, they're quick moving. They're well done. The writing was great.
Favorite quotes?
Oh,
Talking about the writing? I know you've got some quotes up your sleeve.
Okay. Well, actually, this is perfect one for Amina because this further just kind of gives who her character is. It is not always easy to do the right thing. More often than not, it is lonely, thankless ordeal. That does not mean that it is not worth doing.
Yeah, great quote.
That's like perfectly.
I think that captures a lot of characters that we talk about too. Yeah. Like I think we see that with Darrow and Red Rising.
Absolutely.
Lonely characters.
Very lonely characters. Yeah. How about you? Favorite quote?
Yeah, there's one. Sometimes the greatest acts of rebellion weren't with a sword, but with a simple refusal to be afraid.
Ooh.
And it's some things like you see like Amina, she's not afraid often. Very rarely is she afraid.
Yeah.
There's some moments where she realizes she's got an enemy greater than what she's ever fought before. And she's nervous or maybe even slightly anxious, but like you don't see Amina scared often.
You don't. You see her second guess certain choices. You see how she thinks. Like if I do this could happen. And she tries to be very methodical because what turns out to be what she thought was going to be a simple job to get this granddaughter back turned into I have to save the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that was completely unexpected for her. Like completely unexpected. She's like, what? I didn't sign up for
I
this.
didn't sign up to battle a dark wizard.
I need 2 million. Okay. Because this one's not working for me.
Yeah.
Put a couple more numbers in front of that number and then we'll talk. But she takes it on. She doesn't shy away from it as much as you think she would.
Yeah. And, one of the things about the family that Dunya comes from is apparently in the old world. And I think when they refer to the old world, it's like before the Quran, her family had collected these talismans, these magical artifacts. And there's this, similar to the way we think about stories of wizards in the Western culture, there was this whole element of, like the Age of Solomon and magic and, capturing these artifacts. And she reinforces that from the old world into the new world with the peri-peris, where it's, transgressions. They call them transgressions, right? This bridge between the magical and human worlds where these objects are imbued with certain powers.
Right.
Which brings us to the moon of Saba, which is what Dunya brings Falco to, and Falco's trying to get this moon of Saba. And this is the completely fictional object that she writes about, but a great creation where it's, is it Duberon or who's the moon god? I
think you're right. I think that's the moon god, Duberon.
It was great. It's like this object where they thought it was a pearl, but it's actually a wash basin. And it turns out to be like this perverted god trying to capture a glimpse of a woman, Belkis. And it's just like Shannon Chakraborty's writing is just a lot of fun here. And it's like, if you're looking for a quick, not quick, I wouldn't say quick, but a very fun read, this checks all the boxes.
It is fun, actually. And I think that's why I liked it. Is because it's very humorous while also being serious, but you don't feel weighed down by the seriousness of the situation. There's just a lot of humor in this. Ruksh is just a great addition to that because things that he says and the way that he thinks is very...
He's like the clown, right? He's like the comic relief.
He is the comic relief, but he thinks in such easy, simple terms.
Yeah.
Like, well, what did you expect me to do? I am a demon.
I feed on creatures' ambitions.
I feed on ambitions. What did you expect? And that's what he always said, like all the time whenever Amina is trying to make him realize that something that he did was not correct. He's like, I don't know what you expect. He is the scorpion and the toad. You ever hear that? Where the scorpion and the toad need to cross the river and the toad says, you're not going to... I don't want to go on your back because you're going to sting me. And the scorpion's like, I'm not going to sting you. Then we'll both drown. And the toad's like, all right, dude, I'm going to get on your back. And then what do you know? The scorpion stings him in the middle of the river. And the toad goes, well, now we'll both drown. He's like, but that's just my nature.
I am a scorpion.
I am a scorpion. And that's Ruksh. He's like, that is my nature.
Yeah.
But did you have a favorite character?
Oh, man. Favorite character. The characters were so much fun. I really enjoyed following Amina, right? It's like it's an obvious pick to be the favorite, but the title of the book, for goodness sakes. But it really, like, you're just rooting for her, and you're rooting for her team. Majid and Tinbu and Dalila. You're just even Rosh. You're still rooting for him.
You are rooting for him.
And he's not like, when we think about demons, he's like there's a stupidity to him or a naivete to him because he's just like, I follow this one path. I am what I am, and it's very simple. Like, it's very black and white for him versus it's not for Amina and the other characters.
Yes, his character is he thinks in these just absolute terms.
Yeah.
Like, you tell him this, and because they have to lead him astray a lot. Because there's a secret that Amina has been keeping from him.
Oh, yeah. She makes the divorce out to be this big, complicated thing.
Yeah. She's like, if you do all of these things, we can finally get divorced. And he believes her. He's like, all right, well, I've never been divorced before, and you humans have a lot of strange rules.
Yeah, you find out he's only been involved in only one other soul contract. And the marriage to Amina was very different.
He keeps calling them a soul contract. It's like, but when you think about it, I mean, that's kind of what marriage is, right?
Mhm.
That's what it's supposed to be. So it's almost like he just kind of shines a light on something that none of us are talking about. Oh, Ruksh, that character. And the thing is when Amina does see him, and I feel like this is not a spoiler because he is a character that's in this book. The reason why she was able to leave him behind years ago is because she trapped
him in a box.
And when he sees her, he's like, Amina, I really didn't like that. Wasn't very nice. And he says it in such like a funny way. Like, well, that wasn't really nice what you did to me. You trapped me in a box for years. Do you know how weak and tired I am from that?
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel like when we first met Roksh, there was this, it was a very ominous, like leading up to, right? Like they're sailing towards Socotra and all of a sudden, like the weather clears and everything's perfect. And she's like, oh no. And she's getting like these ominous vibes. She's like, it can't be my husband. And like, you just, and then you meet him and he's, he does try to kill Tinbu, right? He throws a knife at him, tries to kill him.
He does try to kill him. Poor Tinbu.
But he doesn't keep trying to do it. He's just like, I missed, whatever.
Yeah. He's like, all right, I'm too tired. Like, and that's pretty much sums up his character though, is he is so mad at her at the beginning. And really, you thought he was going to be a villain. You really did. You thought he was going to be like a very stereotypical villain. And
he's not. He's like a part of the crew.
He's a part of the crew. He's almost it's almost like how Matthias just ended up in the Six of Crows somehow, and he doesn't know how he got there. It's like, I don't know how I got here.
Yes.
But here I am, because I feel like that's how Ruksh feels all the time.
Great call out. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know how I got here, but I seem to be here, and I agree with some of the things that these people are saying, which is really odd. But it's being in Amina's head is interesting, and I think, what do you think? Because I think the way that I described it to you and why it was great for an audiobook is when you have those breaks in the action, because it's a story, like Paulie said, when you open it up, it's almost like Arabian Nights, where you get this
big book
and you go back to the narrator in certain parts.
Yeah, I love that narrative technique because I think it adds a lot of texture and almost like reality to the world. Where what happens is you're following Amina's story, but Emery's saying like there's these breaks in the book where all of a sudden a different narrator comes in and tells you either, about the world you're about to enter into, or they're like little vignettes about the moon of Saba, right?
Yes.
The moon of Saba has all these different stories. And there's lots of, different elements to all these different stories about the moon of Saba, and you get told like 3 throughout the read. But you also get like these vignettes of Amina, right?
Yeah.
It's somebody telling her story and the scribe part. And I love those narrative breaks. To me, they were just, they broke, there was never really monotony, but they just broke a cadence and like helped you understand the world a little bit better.
Which was so well done, because very few authors are good at that. And I kind of thought of it as like a breaking the third wall moment. Mm-hmm. Where you take a break from the story that's being told about Amina, and Amina comes in and is like, do you really want me to tell this part of the story? And you get that humor in her character where she's like, are you sure you want me to say this? What do you want? What are we doing here? Like, I don't feel like I'm that interesting that we should be telling my tale. And she just stays kind of like humble throughout the whole thing. She doesn't think of herself as this, badass pirate that she is.
But everybody in the pirate world knows of her.
Everybody knows her. She is a force to be reckoned with, but she's super humble. She just wants all that money so she can like really retire. Like super retire. But yes, was there any other parts that were like favorites for you?
I like the island of the Peri Peri Island and the interaction between like the ruling class of that fantasy land, and how she kind of frees herself, and like Roksh is part of it. And then we like Trezor, who kind of follows her, and she gets another quest right from it.
Does.
So it's like, well, you can't just destroy one transgression. You have to, and the bargaining between him is fun. She's like, you have to destroy 400. And she's like, how about 4?
Yeah.
Accepted.
Accepted. We will do this.
Yeah.
It you know what? That was a fun part. It's really just a fun world. And here's what we can say. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people do seasonal reads.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can do seasonal reads as a fantasy reader as well. And Amina is one of those ones that you could do seasonally. And I'm not sure when a second book is coming out. There will be a second book.
Uh-huh.
This
It's
will
very set up to do so.
Yes, this will continue. So keep that in mind. But it's a good overall story, and I think what rating did you give it?
I gave it a 4.5.
I like that. Yeah, 5 for me.
Yeah.
It went up. So I told you I re-listened to it.
Yep.
I had started trying to read it, guys, and it just didn't work as a read. So I switched to audio, and at the time I had given it a 4. And then as I was re-listening to it, things made sense to me more the second time around than the first time.
Yeah, and we'll just mention some audiobook platforms because I did some research before. This is like I said, this is my first audiobook. And there's a few out there, right? You can do Libby, which is a great app, highly recommend.
Highly recommend. It's through the library, so it's free.
The problem there is it could be a long wait for you to get it. So
yes,
if you're looking for like that summer beach read or something, or you're really looking to read this book at this time for whatever reason, just because it meets with your schedule, like Libby has some issues there. Now you could do Audible, but that's like a subscription. A subscription's really good, I find, for folks like Ammie here that are reading constantly.
Right. And making sure that you're doing it if you are an Audible user, wait for the deals. Save up your credits. That's my recommendation. If you go to the deals tab, and you have to do it on the computer, it's not going to be on the app on your phone, because that's how they get you. They're trying to make you spend more money. Don't do it.
I know. I'm pretty against subscriptions. So I went to Libro. It's libro.fm, and you could just buy the audiobook there and just listen to it. And what's great there is there's a revenue share with like your favorite local bookstore. So I learned about Libro from the folks at the Briar Patch in Bangor, Maine, when I traveled there. And so there's a revenue share there. So support your local bookstore, but also it's just, you can buy the books at a time. Be like, I really think I'm just going to do this on audio, right? Maybe you got a big road trip coming up and you just buy the book. So it's an app and a website. The only con with the Libro app is you have to buy the book on the website, and then you can listen to it on your app. So Bluetooth it through your phone or anything. So you can't actually buy through the app yet. But that being said, it was a very seamless integration between the app and the desktop. So
I'm going to look into it, actually, Libro. And the only other thing I'll mention is some libraries also offer Hoopla, which has less wait times. Ours in particular doesn't.
Okay.
But Hoopla is another thing through the library where you have like less wait times.
Okay.
I'm not sure why. But yeah, make sure you're supporting your local bookstores, local libraries, and
read on.
Yeah, read on. And until next time,
smash that subscribe button, spellsfromtheshelf.com, all major platforms.
Yes, all major platforms. Subscribe, follow, so you know when we drop new content. Have a great one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.